Thank you for tuning into the Complete Athlete podcast. My name is Taylor Price. I am the producer of this podcast, and after we recorded this episode, we got word from Milo and his mom that he unfortunately got injured. He has a partial labrum tear and is going to be out probably 5 to 6 weeks. It's unfortunate to hear, but we had such a good conversation that we wanted to put that out there and hope that people could maybe leave some comments wishing him well wishes as much as we are too. We hope you get well, Milo, and we look forward to seeing what you do once you get better. But I guess we'll get started. Welcome to the Complete Athlete podcast, where we get you to the next level in your sport and in life. As Gabe likes to say, I'm getting used to saying that intro for Gabe, but today we have Milo, Athias-Finn, is that right? I want to make sure I say your name right. Yeah. But welcome. We want to get to know you some more and talk about baseball. So how's it going, my man?
It's going really good. I'm happy to be on here for sure.
Have you listened to the podcast at all beforehand?
I seen Ty. I seen his podcast.
Ty is a character too, as you know. Like Ty is an interesting guy. So yeah, thanks. We appreciate the view, but also tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as an athlete. So we want to get to know you more as an athlete.
I've been playing baseball for like as long as I can really account for, to be honest. Like when I think I started in I want to say I played like t-ball.
You played t-ball.
I was like a sixth.
See, I played soccer before t-ball. My dad would never let me play t-ball. He said probably, I don't know why. But just the way it was.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like
you
never
never
played t-ball.
that t-ball it seems like there was a gap for some groups of kids where like t-ball just didn't hit until baseball didn't hit until coaches pitch. T-ball just wasn't as advertised. I could skip t-ball too. So you're not the only ones that didn't play t-ball.
You probably just destroyed in t-ball, huh, Milo?
Yeah, you probably would have destroyed, dude.
Yeah, t-ball. So I started in t-ball, and then I kind of obviously I moved on to coach pitch, machine, and then I kind of did kid pitch. But I tried some other sports too. I used to play basketball. I was not good.
But you're telling me now that you can dunk.
I can't dunk.
You can dunk, but that takes athleticism. So there's a difference between being good at basketball, but then having that athleticism from basketball.
Yeah, I mean you just gotta. My biggest thing about basketball, my brothers play basketball, but the thing about basketball is when there's no one guarding me and I'm by myself, I can do good moves and stuff like that. But then you put a defender in my face in the middle of the
Can't
game.
handle the pressure.
It changes. It changes a lot. I think you're right. I mean, whatever part of the game you're at, it doesn't matter what sport. You can train by yourself all you want, but as soon as you get into the game, it's a lot more real.
For sure,
as long
yeah.
as you don't let that happen to you in baseball, I think it's all good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot more time in baseball too. There's no shot clock. I mean, there is going to be one now in the major leagues.
There is there's a lot of time in baseball, but then when the moment strikes, there's not a lot of time.
Exactly. You have to be ready at a moment's notice.
Right.
So your attention span needs to be pretty good to be able to play baseball. And I think that is a good testament to a good athlete. So
For sure.
So as you grew up playing Little League and stuff like that, what kept drawing you back to baseball? What was the thing that kept you coming back?
I just think that baseball is different than most sports because I think I'm holding the mic too close.
That's fine, dude.
But it's a team game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's probably. I mean, it's really not a team game. In most other sports like basketball and soccer and stuff like that, you gotta kind of rely on another team to kind of pass you the ball.
Mm-hmm. Whereas in baseball, it's a very individualized performance that gets tied into a team.
Yeah. Less
of a full team performance, but it does come together. It's kind of you each have a part to play.
Yeah, it's
Versus basketball, where you're more interactive. I agree with that.
It's a bunch of individuals working together.
Exactly.
I think
baseball.
I think what Miles really trying to say is that sports like basketball, even football, right? You have role players, and I think that to the degree that basketball has role players where don't have guys that need to really put up any points. Right.
But they can still be effective.
Right.
They can still
Right.
make a
Whereas
difference.
in baseball, you have a guy who goes 0 for 4.
He's not making a
You
difference.
better be a beast out in the field.
Yep. You can't be making errors and not producing at the plate.
Yeah.
And that takes individualized, a lot of talent to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So Milo, any quick funny stories that come to the top of your head from your early days of baseball up until now? Like anything that stands out to you that like, or maybe just like a proud moment you have like growing up, like your first home run or something like that.
My proudest like moment in baseball was like my first home run, which was in Cooperstown. And so that was like,
what a place to have your first home run.
Yeah.
Bat flip too.
It was like,
flip it.
No, I was like, so
Come on, man, you gotta be on top of it.
I couldn't even like think.
It's no
I mean,
excuse.
when your first home run, that's gotta be a euphoric feeling, right?
And I took it oppo too. Like that was a good swing.
That's a good swing, and it probably felt pretty good once it hit the bat.
Well, actually, I didn't even know.
I think it
Like,
probably felt even better when you saw it go over the fence.
Yeah.
yeah, like I thought it was like a regular swing, and then I just looked over.
So
And I was like,
it wasn't no doubt. It wasn't a no doubter.
No, it got out in a hurry though. But I was like, why is it still going? And then it just kind of like carried over.
That's a good thing to ask yourself. Why is that ball still going? I wonder why.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Like,
Were you behind the count? Do you remember? Or were you
I was gonna say, do you remember stats about that?
I don't remember like the exact count, but because it was like Cooperstown was like a long time ago. But that was like a pretty good week. Like that was my only homer in like Cooperstown, but
Have you had a few since then?
yeah. But I did hit, for pretty high average in like Cooperstown in that particular like weekend.
How many games did you play in that tournament?
I want to say like we were one of the last seeds. Like there was like really good competition, but maybe like 6.
Okay.
I would say.
I mean, that's a good sample size too, especially when most tournament like you only get like 3 or 4 games depending on how good your team plays.
Yeah.
So like when you get 6 games to really like, put your stamp on a tournament, that's got to feel good. Yeah. Uh-oh. What are we dropping?
Drop
I
something.
think we're all right.
I don't know what happened.
So when it comes to baseball after high school, what is gonna keep you coming back to baseball after that? Like, why do you want to pursue baseball after high school?
Just like the competition, and just proving to myself that I can like hang with the best and stuff like that.
You like challenging yourself to get better
Yeah.
at something every day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
What is the thing that you think about? Like, there's probably multiple things that you want to work on in baseball right now, but what is that first thing that comes to mind when you're like, all right, this is the first thing I'm working on today?
I mean today I was like hitting in my basement. I sprinted the other day. My speed has come a really long way.
Okay.
I would say.
So you really want to work on like maybe being more explosive on like stealing bases, or just overall speed, so that you can cover more ground either on the base path or in the field.
I think my speed is getting a lot better. I think the biggest things that I should work on is obviously like being more.
It's that first step.
Consistent.
Bases. It's all in that first step. Right?
Yeah, that first step but you're saying being consistent.
In like the field and like
Yeah.
and in hitting too.
Remember Jose Abreu for the
Yeah.
Yankees? He was never a fast guy, but he stole bases, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's like a timing thing. Albert Pujols, same thing. He's not a big speed guy you think of, but like when it comes to being like fast in like the field and like being able to cover ground, and do you prefer like the outfield or infield when it comes to that? Like
Milo, you're a pure shortstop. That's what you are.
Yeah, I was gonna say like if you're in the hole, like that's a different type of speed that you need to have than versus
For sure, like
the gap, like a ball hitting the gap for a center fielder.
Yeah, like lateral quickness. I think a lot of, I mean, obviously there's certain baselines like to even go like get a chance to go to the next level if you want to be like an infielder. In terms of speed, like that's what I want to hit benchmarks so that I can be considered to go to college, and then just perform in game. Like that's what I want to do. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, you can't be like a shortstop running like, like a 7.5 60. That's just not gonna work.
Yeah, you're right, because your lateral quickness, especially in that very key position in shortstop, you got to have a good arm. You got to be able to track the ball. You got to be able to take things deep in the gap of that between third and second base and make long, accurate throws. So when you get to the field, I mean, for your arm care, like what is your biggest thing for arm care? Like what do you do to take care of your arm?
I do bands every day, and then I just do plyos like I would say like 3 times a week.
Okay.
And that's for off season. For in season, I don't do like plyos as much because like I can't. I mean like I'm just like I'm at the field. I can't really bring my plyos like with me because like my bag gets like really heavy.
All of a sudden you're carrying 40 pounds of gear with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, so I just kind of try to get loose and then just do my bands and then just like throw and then just long toss because I can't like long toss in my house.
Yeah.
So like I use that to my advantage of like how far can I throw the ball to like my partner.
Exactly. I mean, that's the hardest thing to simulate, I think, in a gym, especially in like a winter setting or like how we are here in the dome here at the National Sports Center. It's hard to get that long toss feel where trying to go pole to pole with your buddy who's also trying to do long toss. Like you can't get that everywhere, so it's hard to simulate. You're right. Now, I'm sure you've seen some of these questions. I know your phone was dead, but one of the favorite questions I like for Gabe is like, what is your least favorite job to date? Have you worked at a few jobs so far?
Yeah. I've only like really worked at like one job, to be honest, and it was
baseball's your job.
Yeah, baseball's your job now.
But I worked at the facility that I used to go to,
Okay.
like to play for the team.
Okay.
So my only like complaint or about that is like I didn't get any money, and I worked there for like a good amount of time. But like
They didn't pay you?
No, I worked there so I could like play for the team.
Oh, okay.
Because the team costs money.
So it's kind of like a stipulation type thing. Like,
yeah, so it was definitely worth it for sure.
Okay, so you got something out of it. It wasn't like they didn't pay you for something. They gave you some value. Okay. That's what I was worried about. They're going to take these young kids and just not pay them.
But you didn't
for
like
something.
doing it though? Did you like doing it?
No, it was really fun. Like
yeah, but it was
I guess
like
he doesn't have a least favorite job.
Yeah, that's
that's his only job, so you can't really have it technically is his least favorite.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
It would
work
have to be by default.
more. I just don't want like
He
sometimes
doesn't
like
actually hate
school.
it,
Yeah.
Like like I have school and then which is like 7 hours and then I get home and I practice. So I get home at like 5 and then like if I work a job, obviously that would be good for my family.
But like your homework is lacking, your sleep is lacking.
Yeah.
Like something gets sacrificed there, and that's where being an athlete there is some sacrifice. Not with just you, like your family has to.
But
Kind
I think
of
on the track
sacrifice
that you're on though, Milo, you can get yourself a really nice scholarship somewhere where it's going to save you so much money in the long term.
Yeah, and it sounds bad, but like I got to get my work in too.
No,
like,
you're an athlete.
You're
an athlete first. Like there's some times in your life where you have to focus on something more because it's going to be worth it later on.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
Yep. And you're a pretty safe investment to invest in at this point.
Yeah.
And my grades are pretty good right now.
What's your
exactly.
GPA?
So there's not a whole lot to complain about if you're a student athlete who's keeping their grades up and you're performing well. Like I'm not going to ask you to get a job if I'm your parent. I'm gonna do what I can to support your dream. So I feel like you have a good head on your shoulders, and I'm glad that your least favorite job is actually not a least favorite. It's actually kind of something that you've enjoyed. That's a good experience to have as your first job though too, because it teaches you that there's value in other things than other just getting paid. Like you got some value out of it because you said that you enjoyed your time, but then you also got to play baseball and probably learn from these people as well. So that's awesome.
Milo's least favorite job is playing for his team when he's losing.
That's a good point.
We
all hate losing, right?
That would not be fun.
Because
no one likes losing, especially.
I know.
So, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment as an athlete so far? It's a loaded question because there's a whole lot you can think about. But if you get introspective, if you think deep, like
I got a few things in mind. See if me and Milo are on the same wavelength.
What would you say?
Oh, USC first?
I don't know. Like I have like a lot more I want to accomplish. I feel like I haven't really accomplished like too much, like in terms of like being like like I want to win awards and stuff like that.
So yeah, you're saying that there's more for you to do. I appreciate that.
For sure.
I can appreciate that.
I would say maybe my school hasn't had a very good record for a while, but I would say maybe being like varsity as a freshman. That's what I would say.
That's a big accomplishment. I want you to know that that's something you should be proud of.
Or how about being on the perfect game team you were telling me about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to PG pretty soon.
Tell us a little bit about that. That sounds like
tell us about PG. I'd love to know about that.
I'm going to PG in like 2 weeks. It's just a showcase.
It's just a showcase, he says. Like every showcase is vital. You should. I mean, I'm not saying you should put that pressure on yourself, but don't take a day off, man. Like think of every opportunity as a way to market yourself.
You don't have to be too humble. You can just say how.
No, you can brag to us. Like we're friends here. We're all friends here.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us more about what are you looking forward to with that experience, though? Like, what do you think you gain out of that?
Well, last year, this is assuming I have a good day, but last year my numbers were I had a 78 exit velo, like a 75 infield velo, and then like I ran like a 7.5 like 60.
Okay.
So I'm just like trying to show them that, like I put a lot of work in. Now I think my exit velo with wood off tee is like upper 80s. I can hit 90 with a metal bat. Infield velo is like, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've not been doing that for a while, so I gotta get back to that. But like infield velo, I'm like mid 80s right now, and then 60. My highest 60 is a 6.6.
Okay.
So if I can like put all that together, then I'll show the coaches that I've been like working and stuff like that. Yeah,
and let's get that on tape too. Maybe that's something I can help with as well. Like later on, trying to gain some exposure for yourself. I mean that's something that I can help with. I know Gabe can help with too. Getting your stuff on film and then so that people can see like your stats and like really put pen to paper. So no, I like that. I like this next question from Gabe as well. Who do you look up to, and why? So, like, who's your biggest influence?
I look up to like a lot of people. I would say.
Like, who would you say?
The parents are a big one.
Who would you say you try to model your game after?
Yeah, obviously, like I look up to like my parents.
Yeah.
In terms of like baseball, there's so many people. Like when I like look at baseball, I look at like a bunch of like different things. I would say like for track, I mean not like track, but like I try to be fast and I try to have good running form. So I look at like a lot of videos of like people like running and stuff like that.
Like proper running technique. That's smart. That's smart.
Because I feel like a lot of baseball players like aren't doing that. Like I feel like
no, I agree with that. That takes part into something that I did when I was in high school. I went to the track coach and wanted to learn how to be more explosive. That initial jump when you see that pitcher lift his front foot when you're trying to get to second base or go to third base, that's a crucial part of stealing a base, that timing and mechanism. And being more explosive, being able to get that quick twitch is something you can learn to do if you go to a track coach or somebody who's focused on running. So you focusing and learning about running, that's a very key thing. That's important.
Played a huge role in that.
Exactly.
And yeah, so running, I'm really proud of like how far I've come in like that regard. Just because, I mean, if you've seen me actually running like a year ago, if you actually have like a video of it, it's actually horrible.
If you send me one, I'll put it up. We'll do it before and after if you want. If you can.
I don't even know if I want to send you. Like I'm gonna be honest. It was that bad.
It's a work in progress every day, right?
For sure. And so another, like I look at like, I try to look up to like a lot of different like people and like different sides of the spectrum. So for fielders, being like an infielder, I would probably look at I think that Francisco Lindor is really good, and when you look at like how he fields the ball and like his mechanics and stuff like that, and he has a really short like arm path.
Yeah, he's quick from glove to release.
Yeah.
That glove to release time I think is important to look at too. Your transfer ability. Smooth transition for Lindor.
For sure, yeah.
Other shortstops that you look up to? It doesn't have to be shortstops. I guess for me it's middle infielders. I'm a second baseman, so I feel like you and I would probably work well together. Because I think second baseman and shortstops think alike, but everything's mirrored, right? Like everything for you is glove side. For me, everything's backhand side.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think about it. So for me, like the best middle infielders I look at right now, like Jorge Polanco is one for the Twins that I look at, but then like Alberto Mondesi for the Kansas City Royals, he's just got that. He plays shortstop though, so like he's my favorite shortstop right now.
Yeah.
So, other than Lindor, could you think? I mean,
I think Trey Turner has really good.
Oh, I forgot about Trey Turner.
Like, I think that, like the way he plays, like it doesn't like jump out at you besides like his speed, just like his like mechanics, because they're like so like quiet.
Yeah.
But I think watching him, I think like Jazz
Chisholm.
I think he's a little bit more like flashy, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, he obviously doesn't care about his arm angle. He'll throw it from any slot, but he's got such a strong arm. How do you?
But he's really good though.
He's so good. How do you? I mean, are you gonna really tell Jazz Chisholm not to throw from any platform when he can? Like some guys are really good at from that one spot, and that's where they make their bread and butter. I think Carlos Correa has that very good arm slot here, but he doesn't mess around. He goes here every time. You see Jazz Chisholm throw some submarine sometimes, and you're like, he's got such a good arm that you can't. He probably takes good care of his arm
bad
too.
leg.
Yeah.
What's that?
Good arm but bad leg.
True. I mean, well, he's gonna be playing center field next year too.
Correa?
Jazz Chisholm is.
Chisholm.
Well, Correa,
Sorry,
Correa's got
Correa.
the bad ankle.
Oh, it's
yeah.
delete that. My bad.
Correa's swing is like actually
Completely
so
off
good
topic.
though.
I was just looking at perfect game like grade requirements. I'm just trying to figure out where you're at right now, Milo. What your grade would be.
Hey, we always need somebody like that, though, right?
Do you know how they? Do you know how they grade that, Milo?
I think it's like a
Scale or something.
A grade. I mean, a grade can differ a lot. Like depending on like I've seen guys like with. I've seen a guy with like a lot lower stuff, like running like a 760, low 80s, everything, and he had like a 9.5, I want to say. But like, if you're really smooth, and you don't have a lot of weight on you, then you're projectable.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
And if you are big, and you are fast, then that also shows that you're projectable, because you're explosive. So, I don't know. There's like so much things that can go into it. Like,
it's kind of funny because like when you look at like the build of a shortstop, like the types of body types that you see, like what body types do you think are like the most successful shortstops? Like that kind of thin, wiry frame where a guy's got a lot of athleticism, or that kind of big, stocky guy who's like the guys I think about who are big and stocky are like Brandon Crawford of the Giants. O'Neal Cruz is 6'7". I mean, he's fast, but he's kind of big and stocky when he kind of plays. Versus like the Trey Turners of the world who are smooth and kind of smaller, wiry guys.
Yeah. I think. I mean, I think there's so many different like different players. Yeah. I mean, you see like different guys of like different builds play like a lot of different positions. Like Corey Seager.
Oh yeah.
For his time, like he was like. People were telling him that he was like too big. Yeah. He's like 6'4".
He's a very large, 6'4". Him and O'Neal Cruz are probably the two biggest shortstops that I can think of.
I mean, we keep on forgetting, but Alex Rodriguez also played short. Remember that?
Yeah, he played shortstop too, and he was 6'4". He was massive.
Yeah. So, and then you see, small. I don't know who Alex Bregman is, but he's a third baseman.
Yeah.
And he's not like a really tall guy. So there's a bunch of, different. Because usually when you think of third, you think of like a big guy, like the hot,
Yeah, the hot corner.
Big bat, stuff like that.
Yeah. The other third baseman that's kind of like, I don't know, the body style that you don't think of, but like still such a good player is like Jose Ramirez. He's kind of like he's not like a
Oh yeah.
he's not like a stocky built, like he's kind of more of a just kind of everyday type of guy, but short, 5'11", like, but is got strong arm, like good bat speed, like hits from both sides of the plate. Like that's an ideal kind of. You don't even have to worry about the body type. That's just an ideal player right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point. So I want to know what your daily routine is like. What's your ideal day? Like when you get work in, what's your favorite type of day to go through?
So I try to do fielding every day. But what I mean by fielding is I have like 2 boards set up, and I have a lacrosse ball, and I have my baseball glove, and I'll just do forehands with no glove at the start, and I'll just kind of isolate these 3 fingers right here, because if I can get it in the pocket, then I can, like I don't want to get in like the web, because that's like a slower transfer.
Right. If you get it more kind of into the hand part of it where you're gripping the ball, it's more of like it's more of a.
And then I'll do backhand, and then I'll throw it hard like a little bit further back, and I'll act like I'm, catching like a tag from the catcher, like a 1-hop. And then I'll go even further back, and I'll act like I'm like catching it like on the run, and then I won't actually throw it. I'll just catch it here, and I'll get it to my spot. And then I usually hit downstairs. I don't do that every single day.
Do you have a cage? You have a cage in your basement, or
no?
Just have like a net set up somewhere.
Yeah, my net's broken now, so I just hit against. It's like a bed frame, which probably isn't too good.
Great.
Hey, if it works, it works, my man.
It's great stuff.
Does it make a lot of noise? Are your parents upset about it? Like
no. Well, my dog doesn't like it. That's why it's like
the dog.
And then I throw against that same bed frame too.
Okay.
And so, and then lifting, I try to lift a lot. Like I see people, some players, they can't lift. They want to lift like probably like 2 to 3 times a week. They want to keep their mobility. I focus on a lot of mobility stuff too. But I think that, if you want to like become like a really like good athlete, you gotta be strong for sure.
I mean, you can't put more velocity on your ball without putting more weight on. That's just like
for sure.
That's just a given. It's kind of what Gabe has been preaching, what everybody at Complete Athlete's been preaching.
We're gonna see exactly what that when Jaden Peterson fills out.
Yeah.
That kid is
some of those like smaller, younger guys that are once they kind of build or get into their body and start growing into it, you're going to see them balloon up, and their numbers are just going to go up. It's going to be the same for you.
For sure.
You know what? I think it's happening right now too, right? So like you're seeing that jump from 78. Now your floor is 85. Think about that.
Yeah.
Like that's your floor.
Yeah, that's where you want to set your like your initial
high.
Like, all right, that's where I'm gonna start. But then after that, I'm gonna go above, because theoretically, the more weight you have, the more energy you can produce, the more output you can do. So if we get you into the right mechanics, the smooth mechanics that you're talking about, you're not even gonna have to worry about all that energy output. You're just gonna have to be in the right spots, and then your velocities are just gonna go up and up and up. The more
just
you
don't even notice the radar guns when they're gunning you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing about me is that like I can eat a lot of food. Like honestly,
yeah.
I honestly feel like I could put on like 10 pounds, probably hit like 95, but then I wouldn't be fast anymore. That's what happened like.
Yeah, you do.
Summer.
You sacrifice a little bit, don't you?
My speed really went down, and my X velo was good.
But
my speed, because now I have a little bit of a higher X velo. But my speed is just way faster.
Okay.
That's what I want. Like I don't want to be
a well-rounded player.
Yeah, I mean,
especially because I'm a shortstop too.
Yeah, that's the 5 tools that everyone wants to kind of.
You play short. You're smooth, dude. Like we always talk about your hitting, right? But I keep on forgetting that you're also a shortstop.
Yeah.
Right. So like
Appreciate
a shortstop that can hit.
I'm glad that you focus on hitting though, because like when you're a good fielder and you know it, sometimes it's like. I'm glad that you focused on your backhand, forehand, doing like all those drills.
Yeah.
But hitting, I'm glad that you're obsessed with it, because like
difficult
being
to find a really good hitting shortstop who's also really good in the field.
Yeah.
rare.
So some of my favorite players I ever grew up playing with, Jake Mathis included, shortstop initially, great hitters because the thing that they obsessed about was making contact. They didn't care about if that ball went over the fence. They wanted to hit the center of the baseball. That's something that I vibed with Jake as well. Like something that we both worked on is focusing on hitting the center of the baseball. Not just, hitting the ball, making contact, but like making solid contact so that bat, you don't even feel that vibration when you swing.
Yeah.
That's where you really, I think this fall you really took it up another level when you were hitting well with Hit Dog, and you're playing against top majors teams, right? And you're hanging right in there, and you went to these showcases, one in the SIUE, right, and Richmond and St. Thomas, right, and you hit pretty well in those games.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't play games in all of them. But yeah, this upcoming year, I'm really looking forward to like how I hit this year. I think our conference, because last year our conference, like our levels were kind of just like blowing us away because we were facing like the best teams.
Yeah, you guys are in
Really?
Northwest Suburban, right, or North Suburban?
Yeah, we were facing good teams. I'm not even gonna lie. Like
So
we were like
what high school you go to?
Robbinsdale Cooper.
Okay, yeah. So Spring Lake Parks of the world, like the Benilde. Do you guys still play Benilde at all, or no?
No, when we did though, I think we actually just might though. But they have 2 Division I commits. I'm pretty sure that I know of on the team. A couple of guys that are like borderline.
So you're saying that competition is pretty good up there.
Yeah, and we're just a team like. It's not that we're like a horrible team. It's just that when you look at like, we're just like one of the worst in like a really good conference. So now this year, I think we're going down to like conferences that are more geared towards us. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see how we do this year, honestly.
I think you're gonna have
Okay.
a big year, Milo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody at Complete Athletes looking forward to it. So, besides in trying to improve your skills, and what is your main goal? And this is something from my own interest. What is going to be your approach at the plate this year? Like, what is a goal of yours? Like, my goal my senior year was to get into 3-2 counts every at bat. So I wanted to up my average pitches seen per at bat. I wanted to go above 5. I thought that was impossible to do. I ended up with a 6.5 average pitches seen per at bat. So that meant that I was hopefully getting into a full count every at bat. That was my goal. But what would you say your goal for your senior year would be?
I would say my goal, I have a problem with like the outside pitch, like not necessarily like hitting it, but like just for me, like especially when it goes like to live pitching. If someone throws me like an outside pitch that's like maybe a ball away, which is still a strike to most umps, I won't even like swing at it. Like I'll look at it, and then afterwards, when it's like in the catcher's mitt, I was like, damn, that's probably gonna be strike 3.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, if I'm thinking, like outside, if I'm thinking, just take that way to the opposite field. Because I know that I'm going to want to swing at the inside and middle pitch. Like, I know that I can probably, if I'm thinking outside, still be able to get to that.
Yeah.
Especially in this conference. Like,
Yeah.
I can definitely get my hands where they need to be.
Keeping your hands back is a very key part of that, but especially if you have the torque to get in on those inside pitches. Like, it sounds like you already know that you can get your hands to that spot.
Yeah, so just not like, I don't want to let pitchers beat me on the outside corner. Definitely not this year.
All right, that's a good, and maybe you could focus on, and this is something I just thought of, like those outside pitches. Maybe focus on when they do feel close, trying to foul them away. Just because you give yourself another shot anyways, and you make them throw another pitch. You can think of it as a dual reward. You saw what he's going for on the outside. You can get your timing. You can let that ball get deep. But if it's too close for your liking, just slap it away. Try to get that maybe into like the first base dugout.
Yeah, and I think that when I'm like staying
as long as your
back,
team's not in the first base dugout.
Yeah, it depends on if your team's on the first base dugout or not. If it's the other team, then definitely go over to the first base side.
Yeah.
Aim for their water coolers, yeah. They got no water the rest of the game.
Or if there's that coach that likes to sit like right on the top step, really get one going right at him.
Oh
Get
yeah.
'em
Yeah.
moving.
It depends on what field you play at too. And like if they have like Spring Lake Park when I was in high school, they didn't have the fence in front of the top stair, so like it was just wide open. Like you could foul a ball, if you weren't paying attention, you'd probably catch a shiner. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy.
So I would intentionally foul pitches off into the other team's dugout. Anything away, anything close, I was intentionally fouling it off.
Dirty Taylor
I mean,
Price, like it.
Look, my senior year, man, I was a pain in the ass. I'll say that, and I apologize to Gabe for swearing, but I was the ninth batter in every game, so like I didn't get as many at bats, so I wanted to make my at bats last a little bit longer. So
Yeah.
also, if I saw more pitches per at bat, that meant that I spent more time at the plate, and that meant that my teammates could see more pitches too. So it's kind of a double.
Team guy
Yeah.
kind of approach.
If you can do that though, that means that like you get to 3-2 counts. What do they got to do to get you out? They have to throw a strike.
For sure. That was like for me,
I always love
I feel like
two counts too.
I feel like if I'm like staying back, and because for me, like for some reason, I've always been like a good, like I guess 2-strike hitter.
Okay.
For like a guy who's like had like most of my hits have been with 2 strikes. So I think when I have 2 strikes, I naturally just like shorten up and kind of just like I'm just gonna stay back. Cause like for me like I can't sit like off speed. I have to look fastball.
Yeah, I look fastball too, and it's front foot down, and if it's not fastball, then I'm waiting. Like I'm in that slot to hit everything. But you're right, like
Yeah.
I'm fastball first, man. Like if you get me high and inside, like my foot's already down.
Yeah.
Like that's how I think about it. My foot's already down. I'm ready to hit that inside pitch.
And for me, like, especially with like my approach, like that I'm gonna implement. If I'm staying back and I'm trying to hit the outside pitch, I feel like that's gonna help me with the off-speed pitches.
Yeah,
'Cause,
definitely.
like, like I'm more like adjustable. Like if I'm trying to just hit a home run and like go yard to left field, I'm not gonna be
Exactly.
adjustable.
I mean, that Oppo Taco home run that you were talking about in Cooperstown, like that doesn't happen unless you're sitting back, unless your hands are deep in that zone and letting that bat do the work there, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good point. You can look back at that home run at Cooperstown and maybe as a turning point of like, hey, that's the type of approach I want to have. Like ready for that inside pitch, got my foot down, but then ready for anything on the outside too. Hey man, I like it. I like that mindset. That's gonna be a fun thing to kind of test yourself. We were
Here's a
talking
fun
about that in
fact.
the last podcast too. Was Bryce Harper was getting himself into 0-2 counts on purpose in certain parts of the season so that he could work on his swing and working on buckling down and getting that was going to be my next question. Do you have a high leg kick? Do you have like a high, or do you do toe tap, or how do you get initiated with the first part of your swing?
It's more of a modified leg kick with Milo.
More modified. So like how high up? How big do you how
I would say
Well-
I have a leg kick, but like
About that far up off the ground.
like
so
2 inches at most out for your foot off the
Great.
ground?
I would say a little bit more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like
It's not like Bautista, you know.
yeah. I was
Yeah, Bautista's like freaking nearly knees himself on the
Right.
forehead.
But it's like, it's kind of like how Trout,
Okay.
but less
Yeah.
of a leg kick.
Do you use it as a timing thing, or do you like getting it down early?
I just think if I have a leg kick and I like can get into my back hip,
Also momentum.
because for me like I like to lunge at the ball.
Okay.
So I feel like if I don't, it will be hard to like show you right now.
Oh.
But like for me, like I feel like if I'm like from like the stride, and what I don't want to do is like go back, because when I go back and I go forward, I'm like this.
You're
and my
leaning. You're
head's
leaning too
moving,
much.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's hard to get into like really get into my back hip without like lifting my leg and like.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not only a timing thing; it's like a weight distribution thing.
Yeah.
Too. I like that.
And I feel like when I get into my back hip without actually going back, I'm not going forward. And when I'm going forward, I'm lunging at the ball.
You probably don't feel as explosive either. Like,
Yeah.
You probably don't feel like you get through the ball as easy.
Because, yeah. And obviously, like, I want to have, like, a forward move.
Yeah.
But I want to be in my back leg when I'm making, like, I want the forward move to be, like, subtle.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm kind of, like, still in my back leg.
But the energy transfer flows kind of in a loop coming back.
Yeah.
I see that.
My elbow's working back. Because for me, like, if my back leg is straight, I'm already out. Like,
yeah.
Like, if I'm like this, I'm fully like this. Then that's what happens sometimes.
Because you put too much weight. Because that weight distributes too much. Okay.
We did a really good job of that, too. Like, remember when you first started working with me, we did a lot of back leg work, a lot of it. But you're on that front leg a lot earlier, so...
Yeah.
Well, that's a key point from when I was a kid too. I mean, the balance beam thing that you do when you're kind of leaning too far forward, like it's supposed to be. There is supposed to be some leaning there, but it's not supposed to be where you're so far out, like you're saying, where you're like you're too far out on your front foot.
And like another problem with that is like if all of your weight is on the front side of your foot, and my hips are all the way back here, I don't have my hands, and not like my hands back. But like my scap load.
Yeah.
If I don't have that and everything's just going forward,
there's no rotational power.
Yeah, my hips are not gonna, like my hips have to be right here, so that I can kind of like power it. Because then it's just only gonna be hands. Like
yeah, and you can't hit a ball with any good consistency when you're doing just hands. Like you can have good hand-eye coordination, and that probably will help you maybe foul the ball off. But like, are you gonna make good solid contact and get that ball into the gap where it needs to be? Probably not. So no, that's a good thing to work on.
I was on my front leg a lot too back in my days. Looking back.
And that's like when you see me in my games, and I'm like going like this, trying to fish out a ball. That's when you know like my swing, I'm lunging.
So we'll yell at you when that happens. All right.
Hopefully, like I take the initiative to be like, all right, like I gotta get into my leg, and not necessarily like be quad dominant, because then if I'm quad dominant, can be some bad things happen there too. But like just getting into my back glute and just kind of just sitting there, getting like a sort of like tilt.
Yeah.
Just maintaining that tilt.
So you feel that compression like really like in the back part of your thigh.
For sure.
The thigh.
Like
Yeah.
Just sit in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're
talking about right there.
Yeah, like that hip flexor kind of area. Like when you're loaded out and your knees like bent and you're really getting in that spot. Yeah.
Nice and loose.
One guy I know that I like watching who does that really well is Juan Soto. He gets so deep into that back glute, like and his weight transfer is so smooth that like it doesn't look like he's generating a lot of power, but then you see the ball explode off like 108 miles an hour off of his bat, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, he hits the ball hard. Mm-hmm. So those are guys I look at least.
It's a good job using momentum and getting that back leg, though, at the same time after coming back from the momentum. It's called that push-pull. That's what I try to teach a lot of these hitters. I'm not telling you to hit like that in games, though, right? You don't want to focus on that in games. You just want to compete, right?
Yeah.
You just let it be natural at that point. But, like, when you're working
like
on
off the tee especially, that's where you're really in front toss. Yeah. But, like, overhand, just hit for the most part, and same with game time situations too.
Well, I like this next question. This is one that Gabe likes to ask for everything, but what is your own definition of what a complete athlete is? Very loaded question from Gabe.
Yeah.
Milo is the complete athlete.
I would say like I don't know, like a complete athlete's like probably
someone like you,
if you can I mean, does a complete athlete have to be like just for baseball or like?
I think this is for life. I mean, complete. He didn't say for baseball, but what is your definition? And complete athlete could be for any sport. It could be for track, football, baseball, basketball, golf, whatever it is. What do you think a complete athlete is? Like, is it a mindset or is it like a certain? I guess What do you think it is?
I mean, for a complete athlete probably for a baseball player. Maybe like a 5-tool player, I would say. So you apply that to different sports like basketball. Maybe like a guy who can shoot, a guy who can dribble, a guy who can play D. Like pretty much everything. I think like.
But it's the mental side too, right?
Yeah, like if you're if you're mentally strong, if you have an approach, stuff like that, like strong in all areas, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Okay. No, I like that answer because, I mean, it's not straightforward. It's a very loaded question. I mean, everybody probably has their own definition of what they think a fully complete athlete is. And maybe a complete athlete isn't somebody who is fully complete, is somebody who is constantly working on something.
Mm-hmm.
But where can listeners find you online? So like Instagram, Twitter, where do we got?
My Instagram, I had a good Instagram, I'm not going to lie. Like, and I had a lot of followers, I would say. But then I got hacked. Like, literally hacked by,
Some dude from India or something?
By the
he
Russians.
was actually
Russian hackers?
something like that, I think. But
Vladimir got ya.
Or we got some domestic terrorism going on in our own country. People hacking stuff from the inside.
yeah,
So what's the current Instagram or Twitter? What do we got right now?
current Instagram, I don't have anything to post on it and stuff like that.
It's fine. Still,
I'm gonna, once I go into these showcases and I kind of like establish myself, then I'm gonna start like really posting on it, because I don't really, you know, I want to post after like I show the scouts that I have like something,
yeah.
to show them, to showcase that.
Well, let's get some video from the next time you go play. I mean, seriously,
For
like
sure.
just call somebody, be like, hey, look, grab my phone. I don't care. Like, just take some video of me. Any video, any B-roll that you have for recruiters is important. So
Yeah, and then my Twitter, I think it's like Milo _ Athias. No followers yet. I have like 13 following. I just follow like colleges and stuff like that. But
yeah, like what do you go on social media for? Like, what's your niche? What do you look for?
mostly just, I would say, just baseball videos.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good like Instagram kind of like tips, I would say, like that I see a lot.
So a lot of baseball influencers on Instagram that you follow that have like good tips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a path that you could do in the future too. It's something that you maybe think about, passing on your wisdom to other kids
Yeah.
later on. I mean, your journey is important. Like, no matter what anybody says, like, it's always individual. You're going to be going to school next year, but then after that, like, whatever you want to do is your journey, right? So any wisdom that you can pass on to somebody else is going to be important. So
Yeah.
feel free to like let people know about your journey, and we'll probably have to have you back on the podcast again after the season, after we learn,
Yes, sir.
after we see some highlights too. We'll have to get some video to put up with it too. So, well, we're looking forward to that, Milo.
No
Thank
joke
you.
to get some Division I interest, right? You're still a junior, you're very young yet, so.
Yeah, you're a young kid. You're gonna have interest. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
there's gonna be some, once you get some stuff on tape, like Crick
Yeah.
said, like people are gonna see your improvement and see the stuff that you and Crick have been working on, and they're gonna
Zach
they're gonna
Dykes, too,
flock.
is part of that.
Yep,
He's a
Zach
huge
Dykes as
part of
well.
your-
Like you said, you're working on your speed. Zach Dykes
For
is
sure.
a
I
big
I feel
part
like
of
Zach
that.
Dykes
Speed.
also helped him help him with his XBL too.
Heck
By putting
yeah.
him in certain
Strength,
positions.
yeah. My deadlift,
All that stuff.
everything's way stronger. My deadlift right now, I think it's like 430. I haven't done like too much.
Okay.
in a while.
What? My man.
I don't like bench a lot. I don't think baseball players really need to bench.
Yeah, that's kind of it's a lost one on you. Your shoulders are gonna take
Yeah.
it. But thank you again, Milo. We appreciate you having you on the podcast, and we look forward to having you on again in the future.
Sure.
Have a good season, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you.